Hello, today we're going to be looking at a very basic P3 setup. For direct DMX control, please watch one of our other videos. For this simple setup, we're going to need just a few items. We're going to need a P3 PowerPort 1500 as our power supply to take the signals in from the P3 processor and output them to our VDO Sceptron. Please note that we have waterproof, outdoor rated P3 PowerPort options available. In order to get the power and data from the PowerPort 1500 to the VDO Sceptron, we are going to need a 4-pin to BBD adapter cable. This cable will connect to any of the 4 outputs on our PowerPort and directly to our VDO Sceptron. We will also need a PowerCon cable. This PowerCon cable will connect directly to our PowerPort 1500 to give it the power it needs to light our fixtures. And last but not least, we will need an Ethernet cable. We will use this cable to connect our P3 processor directly to our PowerPort. Any of the input jacks can be used. Now that we have all of our basic connections to our PowerPort 1500, we need to get our P3 processor up and running. If you are using a physical P3 processor, please connect a keyboard and mouse and display now. We recommend using a DisplayPort to HDMI adapter to connect to your display. StarTech is a good reliable adapter. Boot up the processor, and in my case, I'll double-click on my P3 PC icon. We'll now be greeted with an option that will allow us to create a new configuration, pick an existing configuration, or browse for an existing configuration. I'm going to create a new one. I'll call this P3 RW Demo and select Next. We now have to choose between real world and one-to-one. On the left, we can see an example of one-to-one mapping. With one-to-one mapping, our fixtures are mapped based on their pixel size. We see here a 10mm pixel pitch next to a 20mm pixel pitch next to a 40mm pixel pitch. Even though the size of these fixtures are identical in the real world, we can see that in one-to-one mode, they are mapped based on the size of their pixel pitch. The larger the pixel pitch, the smaller the fixture. In this mode, you will need to scale your video to account for different pixel pitches before the video comes into the P3 processor. On the right, we see real-world mode. In real-world mode, our video is mapped across different pixel pitches seamlessly. Real-world mode will be our first choice for 95% of applications, and beginners should always choose real-world mode. You will only choose one-to-one mode if you have a very special project or application. We are going to choose real-world mode and select Next. We now need to select the finest pixel pitch that will be used in our configuration. In this case, we're going to use 2 VDO Sceptron 10s. Sceptron 10s have a 10mm pixel pitch. Please note that we can no longer select any fixtures that have less than a 10mm pixel pitch. We should also not select a pixel pitch smaller than the finest pixel pitch in our configuration, or we will have a reduced configuration size. We now need to define our workspace area. We can define this in pixels, or feet, or meters. We're using 2 1-meter-long fixtures. Each fixture has 100 pixels. So to give us some room, we'll do a 500 by 500 pixel configuration. And finally, select Finish. But please note that we cannot change this configuration later, so be sure to get it right. Now that we're in our workspace, we need to make sure that we are in our Setup tab. In the Setup tab, we will be able to see all of our discovered devices on our PowerPort. We can simply click these devices and drag them into our workspace. Now that these devices are configured, as we can see on the left, it's time to map some video. We're going to simply select the Video Input tab and select the video source. In my case, it's my screen. And select our view mode as Display Whole Frame with Fixtures Overlaid Live. This allows us to see where our fixtures are in relation to the video mapping. Now we can move and scale the video to make sure our fixtures are mapping our video correctly, as you can see here. We can move to see a little bit more color mapped across our fixtures. At the top of the screen, we see a green circle, and this means that all of our fixtures are online and communicating correctly. Now that we have our layout built and our video mapped, we can start the show.